The Riddle of Kasper Hauser. There are stories that feel like fog, drifting between truth and illusion, stories that slip through the hands of historians, investigators, and curious minds for generations. And among these stories, one name continues to echo: Kasper Hauser. To some, he was a lost child of royalty. To others, a deceiver, a fraud. To many, he was simply a tragic soul tossed into the world without answers. Tonight, we step quietly into one of Europe's most haunting historical enigmas: the strange life and mysterious death of Kasper Hauser, the boy who appeared from nowhere. This is the Riddle of Kasper Hauser, a journey into a real historical mystery that continues to puzzle researchers almost 200 years later. Chapter 1. The Arrival Narration. Imagine the city of Nuremberg, Bavaria, in the summer of 1828. The streets are warm, the markets are full, and life moves in its usual rhythm. But on May 26, 1828, that rhythm changes. The boy, about 16 or 17 years old, appears at the city gate. His clothes are old, his hair ragged, his steps uncertain. He carries with him nothing but two strange letters and a sense of deep confusion. He can barely walk. He can barely speak. He seems lost. At first sight, the guards think he may be drunk, or mentally challenged. But soon, they realize something far stranger: he barely knows how to exist in the world. When questioned, he repeats only a few words: "I want to be a writer like my father." And between his trembling hands, the boy holds a letter written in an awkward hand, a message claiming that the boy had been kept in isolation for as long as he could remember. This was the beginning of his legend. Chapter 2. The boy with no past. Soon, he becomes known as Kasper Hauser, though no one knows if that is truly his name. Slowly, through fragmented sentences and gestures, he begins to reveal pieces of his past. And the picture he paints is chilling. Kasper claims that for most of his life, he lived in a dark room, barely larger than a closet. He slept on a straw bed. He had almost no contact with humans. Food simply appeared beside him while he slept. No sunlight. No outside world. No education, no language, no touch. For years, he describes memories in shadows, vague silhouettes of a man who visited him occasionally, always masked by darkness. Historians still debate: was he describing trauma, confusion, or truth? But one thing is certain: Kasper behaved like someone who had spent years in isolation. He walked stiffly, like a child learning for the first time. He reacted with fear to loud noises. He seemed amazed by everyday objects: a candle flame, a mirror, the sound of a violin. Imagine living a life without sunlight, without conversation, without a name. This was the world Kasper claimed to have come from. Chapter 3. The public sensation. News spreads quickly. In a time when Europe was fascinated by the unusual, Kasper becomes an immediate sensation. Scholars, philosophers, nobles, and curious visitors travel from across the continent to witness the mysterious foundling of Nuremberg. Some believe he is a scientific marvel, living proof of the influence of environment on human development. Others believe he is royalty, a stolen prince hidden away to prevent him from claiming the throne. There is even the theory that he is the missing heir of the House of Baden, the theory that still has supporters today. Kasper becomes both a symbol and a spectacle. His story raises profound questions about what makes us human. Is identity something we are born with, or something we learn? He tries to adapt. He tries to learn. And slowly, painfully, he begins to speak, to read, to write. But fame also brings danger. And soon, the shadows that followed him from his unknown past catch up. Chapter 4. The first attack on October 17, 1829, something terrifying happens. Kasper is found bleeding in the home of his caretaker, Friedrich Dahmer. He claims that a hooded man attacked him with a razor, whispering, "You must die before you reveal who you are." His wound is deep, but he survives. Some believe the attack is proof that he is indeed the lost Prince of Baden, a threat to powerful people. Others believe he staged the attack himself. The truth, lost to time. But the event marks a turning point. Kasper is moved from home to home, each guardian struggling to protect him, or to understand him. He becomes increasingly anxious, increasingly unstable, and increasingly fearful of the world he was thrust into. Chapter 5. Under suspicion. As Kasper learns more language, something strange begins to happen. Details in his story change. Moments from his past shift. Scholars begin to question him more critically, and cracks begin to form. Was Kasper telling the truth? Was he traumatized and confused? Was he mentally ill? Or was he, as some suggested, a brilliant and manipulative liar? Public opinion becomes divided. Some insist he is a victim, the boy who suffered unimaginable isolation. Others whisper that he is a fraud seeking attention and comfort in a world he doesn't understand. And while debates swirl, Kasper himself seems to struggle to understand the truth, both about his past and his present. Chapter 6. The final days. In 1833, Kasper is living in Ansbach, under the care of Judge Johann von Futterbach. Futterbach treats him kindly, but privately, the judge believes Kasper is unstable, perhaps even dangerous. Then, unexpectedly, Futterbach falls ill and dies. Some claim stress from dealing with Kasper contributed to his decline. And Kasper? He becomes more isolated, more anxious, and more desperate for connection. Then comes December 14, 1833. A cold winter day. A quiet park in Ansbach. A stranger, or perhaps no stranger at all. Kasper staggers back to his lodging, clutching his chest. His hand is covered in blood. He claims that a man approached him in the park, handed him a small purse, and stabbed him. He collapses. Inside the purse, investigators find a cryptic note, written in reversed letters, as if done deliberately to confuse. To this day, no one knows who wrote it. 3 days later, Kasper Hauser dies. He is buried in Ansbach. On his tombstone are the words, "Here lies Kasper Hauser, the riddle of his time." His birth was unknown, his death mysterious. Chapter 7. Aftermath. Theories, lies, and legends. Kasper Hauser's death does not solve the mystery. It deepens it. For almost 200 years, researchers have argued over his origins. Theory 1. The lost Prince of Baden. Supporters believe he was the rightful heir, hidden away so another child could take his place in the royal line. Motives for murder. Political power. Theory 2. The severely abused child. Others argue that Kasper was indeed imprisoned for years, but by unknown individuals, not royalty. Theory 3. The intelligent imposter. Modern psychologists suggest that Kasper displayed signs of pathological lying, trauma, or dissociation. In this view, he may have invented his story out of desperation for belonging. Theory 4. The mentally ill wanderer. A young man found wandering with a confused identity, who constructed fictional memories to cope with abandonment. Chapter 8. DNA tests and modern investigations. In 1996 and again in 2002, scientists attempt DNA testing to determine if Kasper was related to the Baden royal family. The results inconclusive. Some samples suggest a possible connection. Others do not, meaning that even with modern science, Kasper Hauser remains unsolved. The real unexplained historical mystery. Chapter 9. The human side of the legend beyond theories, beyond political intrigue, beyond accusations. There was a real young man at the center of this tragedy. The teenager thrown into the world with no understanding of its complexities. The boy who may have longed simply for love, safety, and a place to belong. The child who grew up in darkness and spent his final years trying desperately to understand the light. Whether Kasper was a prince, a prisoner, or a confused and lonely soul, his story is a reminder of how fragile human identity can be, and how sometimes, the truth is not a single path, but many overlapping shadows. The enduring riddle nearly 2 centuries later, the name Kasper Hauser still haunts Europe's historical memory. Books, plays, films, and studies continue to try to unravel his identity. But perhaps, the mystery is what keeps the story alive. The young man with no past. The world eager to define him. The death that raised more questions than answers. The riddle of Kasper Hauser remains a haunting echo in the landscape of strange historical mysteries and unsolved European secrets. And as long as we continue to search for truth in the shadows, his story will never be forgotten.